Hello YouTube, Liverpool fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki man Sai. In today's video we're going to talk about 10 wonder kids, prospects who on the world stage are ready to explode, ready to burst. And under a technical coach like Arne Slot, he's the best technical Dutch coach, as per Louis van Gaal by the way, who loves his horny football. And that backing is important because he backed him over Erik ten Hag. The slot machine. Love me some wacky Van Gaal. But anyway, since Michael Edwards, Julian Ward and Richard Hughes are in the building, they are going to equip Arne Slot with the next big thing. The unpolished gem, the player on the cusp of greatness, ready to turn into the next Sadio Mane, ready to turn into the next Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, you name it. We're going to get that prospect in and Arne Slot is going to do his shiny magic and turn him into the next £100 million player. Because it's never really been the Liverpool way anyway to spend 100 million on a player. That Caicedo bid last season, 115 million, blew me out of the water in terms of wow, Liverpool going for it, but we ended up with a better player anyway. Wataru Man Mountain Endo, who will have a big part to play. But just before we get into the players, if you know me, the Miyazaki man Sai, Liverpool fan in Japan, you know I love me some kit, and 3 more have arrived today, so I'm going to open 1 per video. Now, which one do I want to open? I don't know which kit is which, by the way. Middle, right, left. Let's go in the middle one. We always go in the middle one. What have we got? Let's give it a go. And while I'm opening this, by the way, if you do like these custom art commissions, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, gotta catch them all, right? Let me know in the comments below. In that case, I'll order more and also share out the art to the members as well if you want them as well. Link in the description below. Let me know if you like the art and I'll keep creating them. But what have we got here? We have... It's red. Big red machine cane. It is Standard Chartered Warrior Liverpool polo shirt, it seems. Now I really liked when Warrior did the Liverpool kits. I thought it was so unique, really cool, really fly and fashionable as well. This looks top notch. What size is this? It's got the Warrior Dragon logo on it, not the liver bird, but actually it is M size. M in Great Britain, USA, and L in Japan. I can dig it. Let's put it on now. Huzzah! Alrighty, fits like a T. Need to lose the dad bod a little bit, but like McDonald's, I'm loving it. Okay, so the first player I want to talk about, he's been linked to Liverpool heavily as well. You know him, I know him. I'm going to let you know more about him. Yan Bakayoko at PSV. He is in the Eredivisie. Well familiar with Arne Slot as well. However, he is not Dutch as you'd expect. He's actually Belgium. He's very similar to Jeremy Doku, except he plays on the right-hand side and Doku on the left-hand side. I would say Doku is a bit more raw, a little bit more pacey and direct. Bakayoko is very physical. He looks very strong. He's quite quick as well. He's very left-footed, playing on the right wing. He is that Mo Salah understudy. But he hasn't got the same maturity, I would say, in terms of playing a quick, ball-playing, progressive game. He is very much your standard traditional winger, but he's got a quality delivery from the left foot. Now actually he pops up on the left hand side somewhat, and he's got a floated left footed delivery. It isn't pinpoint, it isn't arcing, but it hits it into the right areas as well. And I think he's very good at a shoulder jink to maneuver himself a bit of space. He's like a right wing variant of Cody Gakpo in terms of cutting inside left foot and whipping it across. His whipped shot is also decent, but I'd like to see some of that power shot, that Sadio Mane straight edge power shot. We have enough of those curling shots with Mo Salah and Lucho Diaz as well, but Yan Bakayoko is very good at getting the ball on the half turn, standing a man up and attacking him. He can go around the outside, unlike Salah of these days. Actually, traditional Salah didn't really go around the outside either. But Arne Slot loves to get his wingers into 1v1 situations, and position is very paramount in his formation and his tactics as well. Now I'm going to give you a distinction between the system and formation. So the formation is only the starting position to facilitate the system and the philosophy you want to employ. Arne Slot is very keen on allowing the players to stand their man up, getting into prominent positions 1v1, and that is the game-winning scenario. If your man can beat him 1v1, then you're in a distinct advantageous position, because he probably will drill in training the fact that if he beats him 1v1, you get a man on the front post, you get a man on the penalty spot, you get a man on the back post, you get a backup player, a long shooter, Soboslai for example, you get a curler, you have your recycle line behind him. It could be a Curtis Jones, your McAllister, your Wataru Endo, whoever. So I really believe one of the game-winning scenarios on the Arne Slot is a standard winger 1v1 against a fullback. And obviously you target the fullback who's weaker defensively or the one who vacates their space. I'm looking at bombing wingbacks like Anthony Robertson or Ben Chilwell, for example. Get in behind them, put your winger pinned up against the side centre-back of a 3 or pulling the centre-back of a 2 out position. And there's your game-winning scenario. So Yan Bakayoko would be a very good understudy to Mo Salah. Now, if Mo Salah were to leave the season, I think you need a more established right winger. If you're going to play a similar system to Jurgen Klopp, put them in half space in that Mazzala position inside forward, then you're going to need someone who really has the high metrics or has the potential to reach those high metrics. Yan Bakayoko, I think, will be super effective and a super weapon for the coming season and future seasons, but I don't think he'll hit the same goal tally and the same metrics as Mo Salah, so you'll have to rely on Núñez or other players to make up for that shortfall. But as an understudy to Mo Salah, there's not many players better, and I'd expect he'd probably go for the 30-40 million range, 30-40 million pounds, and that's really good business for an outstanding prospect who's very young. He really helped PSV achieve great things this season. He's already got Champions League experience. He plays for the national team as well. I think he's got like 12 caps and 1 goal. He isn't the tallest. He's 1.79 m. However, I think he's actually quite dominant physically, and players would bounce off him in the Premier League, and he'd be an absolute nightmare for the opposition, especially when they're tiring. Hello. And my boy, the mushroom boy Endo, just came upstairs because it's actually Father's Day this weekend, and at school, at kindergarten, he whipped up this amazing pen holder for me for Father's Day. I'm going to treasure this pen holder. But additionally, we're talking about fresh talents. The freshest thing around is this pistachio cake. Bakewood Crunch Pistachio Cake. Wow, that it looks indulgent. I cannot wait. That's an edible flower, is it? A little pistachio on top. That's actually a fruit called a yuzu. It's a citrus fruit, kind of between a grapefruit and an orange. Are really tangy. Delish. I can't wait. Let's get into it. It's encased in white chocolate. That yuzu. So thank you, Eito, for motivating me for this video. Shout out to Eito in the comments. EITO. But the issue with Yan Bakayoko is that he'll have a lot of suitors, because Vincent Kompany last year actually tried to sign him. He had conversations. He had an offer from the Premier League and he turned it down. Vincent Kompany now at Bayern Munich might go in again for Yan Bakayoko. A lot of players are looking for a player of this profile, but Liverpool know how to identify the targets, and I'm sure we would have done a background check to see what he's interested. Having read through this in-depth The Secret Diary of a Liverpool Scout, the stories of the greatest signings out of nowhere, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, catching all the wonder kids, could write a memoir about their pursuit of the greatest talents in the world and how they managed to put Liverpool back on a perch alongside Jurgen Klopp. And additionally, for my team, Lucha FC and non-league J-League football, I've signed a 17-year-old Shuto from an agricultural college. Gonna be a star. I know a thing or two about scout reports, but anyway, Yan Bakayoko, one to look out for. But next on the list, probably the signing that I would be most excited for a generation. If we can get this player, generational talent. He is defined as a successor to Enzo Fernandez at Benfica. He has 100 million market value, but for good reason as well, because he is the next big thing in a number 6 role. Now, remember that Ruben Neves, coming from Porto, Portuguese talent, climbed ties to the Premier League and showcased his deep-lying playmaking abilities as a tempo maestro and anchorman and intelligent deep-lying operator. Now, Joao Neves is of that similar type. Enzo Fernandez can actually go box to box and become more prominent as he goes forward. Joao Neves really dominates that area. Now, you look at Alan Varela, a player like Alan Varela who really patrols in front defense, plays those silky passes through the lines as well. I think Joao Neves is of a higher tier with the highest ceiling. He is the outstanding young player from a deep position in world football, in my opinion, and I feel as though in Germany, in this Portuguese setup, he could really light it up and showcase his talents to the world. But the biggest problem is €129 million release clause is a big impediment to any club trying to sign him. Man United have been consistently linked with him, but I don't see them splashing the cash. There's talks of a net transfer budget of 30 million for Ten Hag, and where he's going to make up the rest of the money. Mason Greenwood, for example, or obviously Casemiro, Varane, off the books, that kind of thing. But no, remembering that Liverpool actually tried to buy Moise Caicedo for £100+ million, and that shows the intent when they've identified the right midfield target who can be a generational target, who still has a higher ceiling and probably increase his market value worth if there ever was a sale. You're looking at a Portuguese talent who's endorsed by Diogo Jota himself, who told the world that not only has got the ability, Joao Neves, but the mentality to really succeed in the Premier League or anywhere in world football. And he's only 19 years old, and this would be a true statement signing, a welcoming of the old guard, Michael Edwards, Julian Ward, incoming Richard Hughes. Open up the shortlist, open up the contacts, negotiate with the agents, get him in, and that is your marquee signing. Him and 1 or 2 other players, maybe replacing Costa Simicas, a backup for Mo Salah, for example. That centre-back option, I'm talking 4 transfers already, but that would be a statement signing, and the quality of this player would pretty much set you up in that 6th position for the coming season, because you look at Joao Neves, Stefan Bajcetic, who will be the 2 prominent high-ceiling players who rotate that position, with Wataru Man-Mountain Endo, the big E Endo himself, Emperor Endo, showing the way in the biggest games, shackling De Bruyne, and or who dares to enter his territory, and McAllister playing there against lower league opposition because he has the ability to pull the strings, receive the ball in tight situations, play the ball through the lines as well. And on occasion, Trent might pivot in there or even start in that position against those lower league teams as well, because as he's proven for England, against the lower league teams, he can just be a baller, complete baller, and change the phase of play in a moment, in an instant, just like that. But the thing I really like about Joao Neves is he's got a mature head on his shoulder. He has aspirations to be one of the best players in the world, and he really, really couples the mindset and the talent together. Think of a Cristiano Ronaldo, right? What an idol for him to follow. Similarly, we've already done good dealings with Benfica for Darwin Núñez, so keep an eye on this one because the connections and the feelers are there, and I think there's more to this story than just a bit of smoke and mirrors, because it'd be prudent for Liverpool to at least explore the option if we have wiggle room in the transfer and wage department to bring him in, because he would be a stalwart in the midfield for at least 5 to 10 years minimum if he stays at Liverpool. And even if we sell him on, we will get back more than we paid for and the opportunity cost of playing him and enjoying his talents on the pitch. He may in fact be the Thiago Alcantara that we've been begging for, that we just didn't get to see because of injuries towards the latter part of his career. So Joao Neves, big option for Liverpool, wonder kid. I'm only exploring players 23 and under, and I think he's probably the one with the highest price tag on this list. Everyone else is probably a more realistic prospect, but what is realistic? Is realistic the player that's ideally suited to give your manager and Liverpool sustained success for the future, or is realistic in terms of the monetary outlay? Because you can't say that Liverpool didn't try to splurge big on an £100 million player in Caicedo last season, because they did, and even a Romeo Lavia in and around the 55-60 million mark, which is a big gamble on a player who proved to be injured for the entire season. So I think Liverpool will pull the trigger if the opportunity presents itself. So let's look on to the next player. I didn't really realise until I went in further, but it's a known combination. It's blueberry compote alongside white chocolate and pistachio and cream. Divine. But talking of known quantities, he really exploded onto the scene this season, obviously being undefeated in the Bundesliga. Jeremy Frimpong at Leverkusen just squeezes in because he's exactly 23 years old, but there's a big reason why Liverpool may be interested in Jeremy Frimpong, and this is very dependent on where Arne Slot sees Trent Alexander-Arnold's long-term position, because if Trent Alexander-Arnold is indeed a number 8 or 6 in Arne Slot's system, then you're going to look for a right-sided player, and it has to be a specialist right-sided player, because Conor Bradley in himself is good enough to be a starting right-back for 99.9% of the Premier League teams, because Conor Bradley's outstanding, scored 2 goals in a 2-0 win, international win. He can go forward, he's very comfortable in the ball, driving forward, playing tiki-taka, one-touch passing, crossing, getting into the box, taking pot shots, playing through balls, assisting. Conor Bradley is a supreme player. Now, you have to play Trent, and you have to play Conor Bradley, in my opinion. I feel you can't keep a talent such as Conor Bradley on the bench. However, if you're allowing Conor Bradley to bomb forward, and you're allowing Trent in that midfield right quadrant position, then you have to allow for a player who's multifaceted to allow him to get into the wing-back slot, to back up Conor Bradley, to overlap Trent Alexander-Arnold, to overlap Conor Bradley, to work together with Conor Bradley, and that way you have a very versatile dynamic. Conor Bradley, Trent Alexander-Arnold, potentially Mo Salah, potentially Bakayoko. You see what I did there? And Jeremy Frimpong, because Jeremy Frimpong is an offensive right-sided player of the absolute highest caliber and tier. He can start at the right wing-back role and transition into the right offensive role, right offensive half spaces, and overlap and underlap. He gets into the box a la Conor Bradley, and that gives your squad an absolute dominant, versatile, flexible position on the right side that the opposition will really struggle to unravel, because of the fact there's so many options rotating. Trent's delivery, misdirection and long balls and playing the balls through the line, even with a one-touch ball through the line, could release a Conor Bradley, could release a Mo Salah, could release a Bakayoko, could release a Frimpong. And Frimpong charging on goal, Conor Bradley charging on goal, Trent dictating from deep as well, one of them covering the right back slot. My goodness, I love that combination. Jeremy Frimpong would have been absolutely dominant player. Now, this is the link to Dani Alves. Back in the day, before he joined Barcelona from Sevilla, Dani Alves could have been that player for Rafa Benitez, because we were heavily linked with him, but ultimately the lure of Barcelona was too much, and probably we didn't pay that money anyway. Dani Alves wanted to play right back, by the way, but Benitez wanted to play right-sided midfield, is what it is, right? I digressed a little bit. Jeremy Frimpong, I think, would be an absolute outstanding signing, but he's probably not needed, and there's no space for him in the squad if Trent is in fact a right-back option, starting right-back option. If right-back remains as Trent, Conor Bradley, Joe Gomez, we've loaned out Calvin Ramsey as well, then there's no space for Frimpong, unless you consider Frimpong an out-and-out right winger, the replacement for Mo Salah, because he could do that. He's talented enough to start right wing. But similar to Trent, he has his best moments when he's bursting into space, when he sees that opportune moments from wing-back role to burst to the edge of the penalty area and combine with the right-sided forward and the centre forward, whether it's Núñez or Gakpo. So ultimately, It depends on the positioning of the squad and positioning of Trent as to whether you target Jeremy Frimpong, but he'd be such an amazing signing because he will probably leave the season. He's paid his dues in Leverkusen already. He's proved his worth, and he is a highest caliber right-sided player who can really have his effect on any given match, no matter the world stage. So Jeremy Frimpong's one to look at as well. 23-year-olds just makes the list. And the release clause is a very, very reasonable £34 million for such a talented player. You're talking Alex Grimaldo on that side, Frimpong on this side. Two of the biggest factors of Leverkusen's amazing season. You take one of them, put them into your team. Smooth as gravy, baby. Now here's one that I don't think pops up enough. I think with previous links, this is someone that goes under the radar. Brentford had a bid rejected. This guy actually rejected Chelsea. He's interesting Arsenal and he's interesting at Liverpool, at least in January. Apparently we called out interested in January. And this kind of player is a lot more realistic than, let's say, Lamine Yamal at Barcelona, who we'll never get. No one will ever get. Anyway, Antonio Nusa at Club Brugge. Now the reason you go for this type of player, right? His statistics aren't the best. He hasn't got the highest metrics, assists or goals. But his dribbling style, his potential, and he has been given the official backing by Martin Odegaard, right? And that's big endorsement because Odegaard is captain material with a level head and he'll only speak sense. And he would have seen him in person as well. He said that as long as Antonio Nusa keeps progressing, then he'll be fine. He'll carve out an amazing career. And Antonio Nusa reminds me so much of a young Leroy Sané at Manchester City. Even the way he runs with the kind of hands flopping before jinking either way. Now he starts on the left and cuts inside on the right foot, but he's so silky. His transitions, the ball is mesmerizing. It's dazzling in terms of maneuvering the ball side to side, getting the shot away. He's a very, very tricky customer. He seems very, very calm, very composed in taking the man on, and he looks to pick out the pass as well. He's got a decent shot. This is the kind of gem that Arne Slot could work his magic to turn him into a real metric beast, a system player that the system is designed for Mo Salah and Sadio Mane to cut in with Bobby Firmino dropping deep to release them to off you go, goal scoring king, Egyptian king running down the wing, that kind of thing. Antonio Nusa is a type of player that you can mould into something really, really special if given the time and given the care and given the attention. And having joined for only €3 million, Club Brugge are guaranteed to make a profit. I heard that Brentford actually had a £25 million bid accepted only for him to turn down the move. Now, £25 million in today's game for such a prospect, really, really good, because Yan Bakayoko would cost nearly double that. You're talking 40 million, I'd assume, for Bakayoko, because more established and well-known quantity. Antonio Nusa could be one that you look at as a project player, one to come off the bench and really mould and see if he can make those impact in those early cup rounds, those cup games, coming off the bench, turning a game, turning the tide, because he's got intelligence, composure, and you always have room to upgrade those metrics. From Club Brugge, he will have an understanding of European football as well, and he looks to me the kind of player that you take under your wing and you see if you can make them something really, really special. Remember the moments from a young Divock Origi coming to the Liverpool team? He looked really good before the Everton shocker. Damn, Murray is what it is, right? We've already effused profusely over Lenny Yoro, right? What an outstanding talent, his composure, maturity. I think Paulo Fonseca, right, Lille manager, talked about his maturity because he brings the ball out of defence and takes command. He's almost like a libero, a sweeper at the back, like a Beckenbauer, marching to midfield like a long giraffe. Joel Matip breaking the lines, imposing himself, becoming a midfield player because he has enough ball-playing techers to be a player who's influencing the game, not just from the centre-back position, but defensive midfield and centre midfield role. Now, this is a player of high calibre. He might not be the most physically imposing, but he's talented, and he will grow into that body. He's got, 18, 19 years old. He's courted by Real Madrid, by Man United, by Liverpool as well. Now, if we get him, it's also a statement signing because it's almost like a combination of Joel Matip, William Saliba, maybe Rafa Varane as well. This player would really, really add something to the backline. He'd almost be a starter in the starting rotation with Ibu Konate, I'd assume, and Jarell Quansah. Van Dijk will always start because he's still absolutely uber caliber, elite, top 3 in the world. But we've effused profusely, as I mentioned, on Lenny Yoro already. Let's go into someone that we perhaps haven't given enough of a mention, which is Jarell Hato at Ajax. He's only 18 years old, but he solves a lot of Liverpool's instant problems because he's a left-footed centre-back who's very comfortable at transitioning to the left-back position as well, playing at left-back, but also bringing the ball out, not just with ball playing skills, but ball carrying skills as well, similar to Lenny Yoro. But he takes command and he's shown leadership in an Ajax team that is struggling, and he's been heavily linked with Arsenal and Man United as well. But this is the type of player who can bide his time, influence the game when he comes on, but also be a future successor to Virgil van Dijk, because Virgil van Dijk in front of you as your captain, as your inspiration, as your mentor, there's no better person to help him get to the highest reach of world football. And he's not aerially dominant as Van Dijk, but he is physically imposing. He can grow into that stature as well because he's quite strong. He's quite strong for a centre back. He's nearly 6 foot, I believe, and I think with our growing Dutch influence, Arne Slot will know all about him. Pep Linders would have known about him as well. Van Dijk will take him under his wing, under the shoulder. The Dutch bros, Gravenberch, Gakpo as well, would be a great Dutch contingent at Liverpool. He's honed in an Ajax technical style way of playing. Kind of like a Lissandro Martinez, isn't it? But he's taller than Lissandro Martinez. But I think he's that kind of player as well. Centre back, left back, great prospect. Really has the talent to play immediately. Can be a long-term success for Van Dijk as well. I don't know why we're not linked to him more. I think he's probably one high up on Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes' radar. Yet to be seen whether we go for him. But I think Liverpool should. Cheeky bid, let's do it. Now, another player that should be on Liverpool's radar, right winger, kind of inverted forward, can play forward as well. Well known to Man United, it's Rooney. Not that Rooney. Rooney Bargy. He's only 18 years old, scored a win against Manchester United very recently, so it'll be fresh in the memory as well. He's tricky. He's a really tricky winger come forward. I'd like to see this kind of prospect in Liverpool as well, because we have physically imposing players, dominant players, people with great physical attributes, really good at pressing. But who is that jinky, mazy, tricky, skillful, sly, cunning player? I don't see it. Unless you're talking about Fabio Carvalho, for example, because I guess he kind of fits a mold. But Rooney Bargy is a bit more dribbly, a bit more menacing. I think Fabio Carvalho is a bit more penetrating. Harvey Elliott is a bit more of a baller, a ball player, a technical player. So Rooney Bargy could add something to that mix, and you have that mix of Fabio Carvalho, Harvey Elliott, Jadon Danns up front, Rooney Bargy on the right side. I think you have a lot of potential to unlock many doors, because he could be that impact signing, and I think he's already shown on the world stage he has something special to really put teams to the sword. I don't think his finishing and his output is the finished product yet, but once again, Arne Slot is very good at taking this kind of player, putting them in situations where they can thrive, giving them the confidence, the arm over the shoulder, and letting them go and rip up the opposition. Rooney Bargy, I think, could be a really smart signing for Liverpool, for the attacking third, on a budget, and it could be an eventual Mo Salah replacement if he lived up to his potential. Still very young, 18 years old, and already establishing himself. Beautiful player. I think he's, Swedish? Is he Swedish? But from Kuwait, so I think it'd be an exotic, exciting signing. I wouldn't mind saying Rooney back on Merseyside, but not Wayne Rooney. Bargy, that might be a good one as well. Onion Bargy, love me that. Might need to get an Indian takeaway later. Actually, it's more Nepalese-Indian hybrid takeaway, but it's all good. It's really good curry in Japan. We're not talking Japanese curry. We're talking Indian, Nepalese, Bangladeshi curry. Love me that. And I did mention that potentially Liverpool could be looking for an attacking midfielder at number 10 if Arne Slot isn't convinced that McAllister, who might be playing in between the lines, Szoboszlai, who's more of an attacking midfielder, Harvey Elliott, who is a attacking midfielder, playmaker, hybrid right winger, inside forward, right winger, hybrid of everything really. Fabio Carvalho, if none of them really suit the number 10 position that Arne Slot is looking for, Zire Doué at Stade Rennes could be the one. Now, he can play on the left, but he can also play centrally in a number 10 position, and he's very tricky, very silky. He is a playmaker, I think, with a very high ceiling. He almost reminds me of Jamal Musiala somewhat, but I think he's almost a perfect player to come in slightly under the nose of big European clubs, because they would be tracking him because of his obvious talent, coming in from the French league and identifying a spot for himself in the system and making a good connection with Cody Gakpo and Darwin Núñez and Lucho Diaz, because operating in that half space on the left or just behind the forward, I think he's got something special. He looks really talented now. Jamal Musiala is the prototype for this type of player to really establish himself, burst on the scene and do amazing things, but Jamal Musiala, who could be a transfer target, would be so expensive, whereas Zire Doué could be the smart signing of that prototype to shape in the kind of player that Arne Slot utilises to link the midfield to the attack and make something happen and break down stubborn opposition, or find those spaces a la Musiala and Odegaard in those really congested areas to slot a ball through in the slot machine methodology to Darwin Núñez to finish with a plum, or for Cody Gakpo to cut inside and shoot, or Cody Gakpo back to goal, hit it into his legs, turn and shoot and injure himself. I don't know. I digress a little bit, but he's that kind of player that I'm excited about. Look, watch some of his clips. He's very interesting, very silky, very talented. The kind of player that I'd expect high up on Julian Ward, Michael Edwards' list. But while I'm reeling out these talented players in and around Europe at other clubs, you got to realise what we have from within is actually amazing. Absolutely amazing. Ben Doak is so highly regarded that he got into the Scotland squad without playing minutes this season, although he's injured again. I really hope he can overcome these injuries, because that would be such a shame. He is a highly talented prospect with a very direct, authentic, traditional winger style who can just go at the man and beat the man. And even Jurgen Klopp, who's somewhat stubborn with giving players their debuts and giving them a lot of time, chucked him on against Chelsea, first game of the season, to make an impact. He's an unknown quantity. Ben Doki Doki Boy, I hope Doke comes back into prominence with Jarrell Quansah. Wow, the epitome of cool, trust in his own ability, confidence, but he's with that bunch of lads that have broken through, right, with the Connor Bradley, mentored by Trent Alexander-Arnold, Quansah, with Bobby Clark and Kumas and Jayden Danns, that group of player. Kumas, left winger / forward. Bobby Clark, versatile midfielder who can slot into any role. Stefan Bajcetic, who we massively missed last season, to rotate with Ricardo Endo to allow McAllister to go forward as well. Bajcetic is going to have a big season as long as he stays injury free, because he's really trusted with the ball. You can see Alisson, Van Dijk, McAllister will play the ball to Bajcetic, even in difficult situations, because they trust his retentive abilities and the ability to play the ball. He could be a Rodri in the making. We have Jayden Danns, who's that plucky finisher up front, who has a variety of finishes, gets into the right spaces, and is just progressing leaps and bounds and overtaking so many players in the hierarchy to give himself that position in the squad as well. We have an abundance of talent really breaking through, and I haven't even mentioned the likes of Cade Gordon, for example, and Troy Ignoni, who these players really are the future of Liverpool, and they deserve an opportunity as well. And this is why Arne Slot is coming in, because Arne Slot's philosophy of allowing players to play their natural game in a position and retain their position if they show good performances really is the Liverpool way, and that is something I'm really massively looking forward to. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. The best way to support the channel is to join the membership for the price of a decent coffee a month. Really exclusive footage coming up. I'm going to do the Wataru Endo book very soon, but also other player books as well. Maya Yoshida, Nagatomo, real quality substance and abundance in these books as well, and I'll be covering and reviewing all of them very shortly, as well as Wataru Endo's 100+ vlog lifestyle guru videos as shown in the Liverpool FC article. Going to be doing them very soon. I'm going to expose some of them here for everyone to see, but the in-depth reviews, I'm really going to spend my time to make sure the quality is up to par. I want to reward the members exclusively, but I will release them overall in due time, maybe 6 months or so down the line if the demand is there. But once again, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Miyazaki man, Ichiban! And new kit, right? Every single video I'll be unleashing one of these new shirts, because I bought like 20 or so of them. Oh, vintage stuff, quality, I love it. Until next time, make sure you smash a like on this video, helps the video get seen, and until next time, Janet.